All right, so this video will be a little bit different to what I normally do. Normally I have a camera set up, but I have to record from home. And as you can see from my webcam, the lighting is not the best. And so it's better just to do it like this. And anyway, like this, I can draw and all that kind of jazz. And so what I want to do actually is just give a brief rundown of all the stimulus that's happening around the world. There aren't many governments that aren't doing some sort of stimulus. So conceptually, on one level, it's pretty easy to understand. We have a dip in spending all the way from virtually every sector in the economy, and we want to then bring it back up to at least a sort of a certain level below what it was before. Obviously, this is where we were before. This is where we are now. However, we want to at least bring it up so the spending doesn't go all the way down to here. This is, I don't know, Great Depression or even worse territory. Bring it up to here until the economy gets back up. We're all working and all that kind of jazz, and then spending can go back up to here, production and all that kind of jazz. Let's rub this out. So that's sort of conceptually what we want to do. We want to maintain a certain level of spending. We want to make sure we don't have mass unemployment, or at the very least, there's going to be mass unemployment, sure, but we want to dampen the impacts of that. So one of the questions that's raised by a lot of people, and rightly so, I think, with central banks around the world, you've got the Fed, you've got the RBA, all that kind of jazz. Most of the money, the vast majority of the money, is going to businesses, and rather than individuals. And so you sort of want to ask, why is the vast majority of money going to businesses? Shouldn't it be going to us? We're doing the most of the spending. So for most nations around the world, for most advanced economies, consumer spending is around 70% of GDP. And so most of the money, therefore, should go to us. But actually, I'll show something, just something very basic. So we have the government, and we have / public sector, and then we have the private sector. And so if we sum all the money in existence, certain amount up here, certain amount up here, it all sums to zero. So you have your assets and plus liabilities, and that equals zero. And that's when we take both of these together. So we'll actually break down we'll keep the government and public sector here. The private sector will actually break down into businesses and then individuals. So what we actually have with the virus, we have the virus affecting businesses. How is it affecting businesses? Well, businesses are no longer allowed to open. Sure, we could have allowed them to stay open and many more people would have died, but we didn't allow that. So a whole bunch of businesses, they're just not open. And obviously that means a whole bunch of individuals. Scroll down. That means obviously a whole bunch of individuals are no longer working, obviously. So let's say we had 5 businesses in the economy, and then we can say something like 4 of them are no longer allowed to open. Only one, what we call critical businesses, only those are allowed to open, and that varies from country to country. And then we can say something, I don't know, what is the unemployment rate going to be, 30% or something? So 1/3 of people are just not allowed to work. Maybe it's even greater. But the point is, you're not allowed to work. It's not that you can't work, it's just that you're not allowed to. So let's say we actually go with the counterfactual, and most of the money goes from the public sector and it goes to individuals. And so what's happened with individuals, this is all of us, and that count as individuals. We're not business owners, and that's obviously most of us. And so big what's it cash comes to us. So we have our money that we had before. This is before the coronavirus hit, and then we get all this money, and then businesses. So let's say, I don't know, $6 are handed out, and businesses only get 2. What happens is we have all this money, and that's great, and that makes you feel better because that's nominal amounts of cash. It's all gone up, and it's above and beyond what we had before the crisis, and so that's good. That's a stimulus. Okay, and so you can do a bit of shopping, you can buy a bit of things, do things online, but most of our economy is service sector, so that's heaps of things that we simply can't get. Obviously, restaurants and stuff like that, massages, can't go to the movies and all that kind of jazz. So it's a portion of that money, yes, will go to businesses that can deliver online, sure. But some people still want the other experiences. And let's say people have all this money and businesses only have two, whatever that, doesn't matter what that is, but let's say they only have two. And let's say we then lift the restrictions because the coronavirus threat has passed. We're probably going to do it in stages, but like China. But let's say we start lifting it, and people want to go out. Because remember, before they weren't allowed to, but now they can go out. Obviously, people can get employed now. People can go back to their jobs. Because some new businesses will open. But the thing is, not that many businesses can open on such short notice. Some businesses could need months to open up. So here we have this red. That's businesses that were open before. They're still going to be open. And we're going to have maybe a little half box of businesses that can open up immediately. So let's say on a Friday, they say on Monday, businesses are going to be open. People can go out and start spending money again. But of these original businesses that existed in the economy, only 1.5 or something, only those are open. But you have all of this money that's now going into just a few businesses. And what do you think is going to happen? Either we're going to push up prices, or more than likely, because prices are sticky and they're very slow to adjust, both up and down, you're simply just going to have queues and you're going to have people that are going to miss out completely. So it'll just be a case of you have to get there first. And if you don't, well, back home you go. You've got all this extra money, but it can't go anywhere. And for a few months, this could be a situation before a whole bunch of businesses open. But it could be that all of these other businesses that close down, they might just be closed down permanently because they cannot reopen. They don't have the cash. They don't have the money. And so it could be years before we reopen the rest of the businesses and bring the economy back up to what it was before. And that's the point, is we're trying to avoid such a situation, because we could get into a situation where people just go out and they just bid up the price of things. And then the people that go home, they can't get in, supplies have run out, prices have gone up, they have to go home. And the extra amount of money that you got from the government, well, that's inflated away. The normal amount, let's say, I don't know, you got an extra $5,000. Right now, that $5,000 can buy you a certain amount of things. But once it starts getting inflated away, the amount of things you can buy, well, that goes down. And so the real value of that $5,000 goes down. And so instead, what governments around the world are doing, I'm not saying this is necessarily right or that it's, going to work out, but I think this is what the thinking is. So we have businesses, we have the critical businesses, which are going to be open. So we just have that in red. Yeah. These are the businesses that have to close down. Then we have individuals. We just have 3 boxes. So we're handing out, what was it, 6? Let's say we only get $2 and businesses get 4. The thing is, most of these are loans that at first they're going to have to be paid back to the government, so the government will make money. But the loans that aren't going to have to be paid back, that's the money that's going to be paid to the employees to stay home, and they're the ones that are not working at the moment, but they'll be paid to stay home. And so you still do get a little bit of money. So that money will, I don't like the term too much, but let's say trickle. I think the whole trickle down economics things it's rubbish, but let's say trickles there from the government to individuals. So they get, let's say, a little dollar, and then we minus a little dollar from here. But the majority of the money is just to make sure the businesses just stay open, so that when the threat passes and people start going out again, and we start working and money starts going up for people again, when people start going out, there are businesses open that are available from day one. So Friday comes, the government says, Monday businesses are going to be open again. People can all go out, and all the stock will be on all of these shelves, and you can just start buying it. And then we'll bring spending back up to what it was before COVID. So this is before COVID. This is spending, it went down because of COVID, and it could have gone down to here. This is sort of the counterfactual. If there's no government action, this is no government action, and we bring it up to here. We sort of keep the economy on ice, if you will, on ice, while we wait for things to pass over. It might take hopefully only 6 months, but it might be the year, but it happens. And then we bring spending back up. Spending goes back up to here because businesses are open. They're available. All those businesses, because you got to remember, if businesses close down permanently, there's people that can't go back to their jobs. But because we put the businesses on ice, it reopens and we can start spending. And that's essentially the story. Obviously, it's a bit more complex than that. But basically, that's the reason I think that the vast majority of the money will go to businesses. And so, actually, I'll just explain it another way. So, so let's say this is you, and you have a stack of cash. Let's say it's 6 units. And let's say a robber comes and takes 3 units away, goes with the robber. So obviously now we have the robber here. He took your money and he has 3 units. And that was your money. The total amount in the economy has not changed. It's still 6 units. It's just this is a transfer. This is -3 to you and +3 to him. The total amount of money in the economy hasn't changed. Let's say this robber, he's just going to go into hiding, and somehow we know that he's never going to emerge. That money that's gone is permanent. So we can write him. We can write him out of the picture for now. So you've actually gone down $3. What we can actually do is we can just get a central bank to come in and just give you the $3. And it should have been 5, not 6. But anyway, +3. And now you are at where you were before you got robbed. And that's sort of the point of these stimulus programs. Is they're not stimulus as such. Only a small portion of it is. Most of it is just getting it back to where you would be if the money hadn't disappeared. That's what's happened. Money has disappeared from the economy, liquidity has dried up, and we're bringing you back up. And so in this very simple example, you went down to $2. It's not going to be inflationary for the central bank to just come along and give you $3 to bring you back up to 5. Because remember, when the robber took 3, the total amount of the economy stayed the same. But if he disappears and the money disappears, then the total amount of money in the economy is 2. But instead, we can bring it back up, and we can bring it back up to 5. In this case, we made an assumption. We said that the robber is not essential to the story. He's never going to spend that money. No, let's say it's just gold. He's literally taking gold off you. He just likes the look of the gold. Well, we can just bring you back up to 5, and now you restored your purchasing power. Because remember, nothing else in the economy has changed. All that's happened is that your money got stolen, and that's what's happening with COVID. Is that the money essentially has dried up because people just aren't allowed to work, not because they're not able to. Not all these people just aren't suddenly disabled. It's just that they're not allowed to work, and so that's what the money is meant to do. It's meant to bring you back up, to restore you. If you will. That's it. I hope that's helped. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, rate, and share all the good stuff. Definitely helps my channel, and I'll see you guys next time.